So this is the car we're going to be working on today, a 2006 Camry Solara Convertible SLE version. And you can see it has the standard radio with the CD changer and the cassette deck. It's a JBL. You can tell by the JBL right in the center. That means it has an external amplifier, and we'll just have to include that in our install. And you can see here is what I'm going to swap it for. I'm going to swap it for a Boss BE62CP-C Radio with the included backup camera, because these things have a terrible view in the back. With it, from Crutchfield, came a trim kit, which I think will not color match as well. So I bought, based on comments, so I bought the Metra. Later in this video, I'll show the difference and see which one's better. You can see that part number. And then you can see the parts that came with it. I did buy the Crutchfield for $24.99. I bought the ready-made harness with steering wheel controls, and the ability to continue to use those is pretty important to me. Other than that, let's get into this install and see where we're at. So let's talk trim kits for this Solara. So there's two that I have bought. I bought the Metra separately. You can see it's 95/82/12. And this trim kit I bought because of comments that the one provided with the Crutchfield, which is TA2087B, that this one, the color wasn't quite as good a match. And actually some of the tabs may have some issues with some of the climate control. So let's take a look at least at the color in this instance right here. So it might be hard to see, but you can see how the TA2087 looks a little gold. Just a little, like there in particular, you can see the gold. So, and I think that that's real. It's not just shadows. And then you can see where the Metra doesn't have that. It really looks like it's hard to see but it's more silver, which I think is more of an exact match. It's maybe a little bit easier to see down here, but I'm not so, well there, that's a good angle on the video. You can kind of see where it looks pretty much the same. So I think I'm going to go with the Metra. It also has the different hooks and stuff. This one has only one, which I think from videos I've seen, once I get the radio open, there'll be three. But this one does have those three, which would be nice. But then it's interesting because this one also has little nubs that people have said get in the way of this climate control and create a gap. And I've seen pictures of that. And you have to Dremel those down, which I don't mind dremeling, but it seems a little silly when the Metra doesn't have those at all. So we'll see when we get into it, but color match, it does seem like the Metra wins, folks. Okay, this is a little crazy here, but this is everything I bought from Crutchfield. So you can see I want to keep my control of my steering wheel. So I bought the typical kit for that. And you can see that it's the ASWC-1 kit that they offer. And then you can see that I also bought another harness. And this one is the harness that you get when you ask to keep the fade controls, I think, is what you get that for. So since I asked for a ready-made, you can see where they've already made it for me. This is the plug because I have the amplifier, the JBL. And then you can see this is the one that's going to go to the back of the radio. But then you can see a whole bunch of other ones, like this reverse one's going to go to my reverse light. I can either run this all the way to the back, or there's a reverse circuit here in the dash. I'll figure that out later, put that in the video. Then you can see the plug for the steering wheel control. Already in there, already connected to the harness. And then you can see the one that goes to the parking brake. I have to decide if I'm going to parking brake, I'm going to run to ground, if that'll work, or if I'll actually buy a bypass. Haven't sure on that yet. This, I don't know exactly how this works. This, I'm almost certain, I'll figure it out in the video, if this goes to this module right here for the steering wheel control. But then, and this, by the way, is obviously what plugs in here for the steering wheel control. But this sucker, I don't know what the red and, this might be how I get my fade control, but I may have to call Crutchfield or look online. Because I also have this, which I have no idea what that goes to. Not yet. We'll get the dash open. Now, since I bought the ready-made harness, I got a couple other things. Free from Crutchfield, you get the quick taps, these posi taps. which are really, and you can see what they say, they gave you two, for the parking brake and the reverse light. And I do have a backup camera, so I need that. And I don't have a, this particular model doesn't need a car speed signal or something to like turn up volumes or something when you're going fast. So this tells you how to do it, and this tells you that what you need this for. I also bought regular harness connectors. Always smart to have a few of these, and I don't have any right now that are made for these small wires. I might need these depending on how I want to handle that parking brake, as well as even in the back of the reverse light. So I got these as well. This was extra. It was not part of the normal kit. I got it from Crutchfield, but I had to add these. And then obviously the radio, which like I said before, and sorry, it's upside down. I'll try to turn it. Apologies, but it's the BE62CP-C. So this is the one with Bluetooth. It does have plug-in USB connection for your phone, for CarPlay. It does not have wireless CarPlay. My son did not want it. Okay, just a quick run through some of the tools you might need for this. As I put a ground in, I might need a spade bit, maybe. If so, I can grab it from inside this kit or something like that. A grommet. If I go through the wall, I'm hoping I can use some hole and maybe just silicone. And you can see here's a multimeter critical. Wire strippers and a wire if I have to run a wire from the front to the back. Obviously cable ties. Some silicone sealant if I have to penetrate the outside of the trunk. Wire clippers, electrical tape. Always need a Sharpie. And if needed, heat, shrink, and a heat gun in order to shrink around a wire or two. Okay, let's talk about where we're going to put this camera. The radio is a lot simpler than with the camera. I just have a socket set here that I just used to remove the license plate. It's laying over there, and the bracket. And this, I'm hoping there's a way to get in the trunk. And sure enough, on the Solara 2006, right there is the wire that runs to these license plate lights. So for power. So the nice thing is there's already a grommet, and actually it's already loose, ironically. And I'm just gonna go right through there with another wire. And that should provide me with a little bit of silicone or something around it. Actually a better surface than what this thing keeps popping out. Now on the other side, obviously this gets me through the metal of the car. So that'll be great. The problem is, on the other side, I'll have to pop off this trim, which already seems loose. See folks? I didn't even do that very much before this video. It just popped right off. So there you go, on a Solara. Let me turn it around. There you go, folks. That is literally coming from the trunk, right there. Going to this, which is obviously a light socket. This is power for the lights. So that's what this is. But I will go out this hole, directly out it. You can see, sorry if I'm moving it around. You'll see right there. I'll do that. Well, folks, here we are. About 30 seconds later, I was able to get these two through. You can see there's the whole wire. And then on the other side, here is the bracket. So obviously, this will be just turned like this, attached over the plate. This will be tipped down. And at that point, these wires will run, as you can see, right by the grommet. This grommet I'll put back in place, probably with a little silicone because it was already loose. All right, so now that we kind of know where we're starting in the trunk, I thought I'd show you how this Solara is set up. So first of all, I'm gonna obviously have to remove this. It looks like it's a single screw, and this will come out. That'll let me get under this. As soon as I get under this, I just pull that away. It's actually Velcroed, and that lets me get behind the back seat. That is where I'm gonna take the wire through, because you can't go up high because the convertible top. That should let me get into the passenger seat, and when I can get back in there, I think you can see in there, but that's actually part of the passenger seat back in there. So then I can go along the side of the car, all the way to the front. So I don't have to take the entire trunk apart because it's got a nice little Velcro setup. This back here lets me get to the power if I so want, right there. Here's a reverse light, I think. Let me check it later. I'll tell you in a minute. This, however, it's a handy dandy little cargo hook, and it looks like it has a bolt as well. It's not a normal clip, so I'll have to unbolt this. That'll pop this whole thing loose, and I'll be able to get better to these wires. One of these is a reverse wire, and I'll hook that to the camera. So this is the next step. I basically have the car, this trim, I removed the screw, from this hook. Sorry, from this hook that was over there, right here. And then from there, I was able to pull back the trim and just kind of hold it in place so I can take the video. And then I was able to pull out the reverse light. The actual reverse light was in here, and you just twist it out and pull it out. And that lets me see the two leads. And I should be able to go with a multimeter and see which ones of these is power and which is ground. I'm assuming, well, I don't know. I'm not assuming anything at this point. Okay, folks, even with a lovely assistant to run the car and put it in reverse, I was unable to get a multimeter picture, but I was able to put the multimeter on it, stick it in the green, and attach it to this very good ground that's here on the chassis. So I was able to attach it to that. That's how a multimeter works. You do the ground and then the power line. Sure enough, this green is my 12 volt. This light comes on. This is my 12. This is the line I can run and use to run to the front to indicate that it's reverse. And if I do it that way, then I can run the power to the camera from that one too. And then that'll get me both. Okay, to pull the wire through, first of all, I've started loosening things. Took this kick panel off. Real simple. There's a little bolt, a little nut, I should say, that's back here on the little bolt. Take that off. That point just pops right off. Put it back on. You can decide if you can take this all the way off or just run wires under it. I usually just run wires under them. This thing, I don't think I have to take off. I can undo a clip and get up under here with my wire. And then here is the big pièce de résistance. The wire will run right here. And then if you look in the trunk, I just use the coat wire. I could use other things, but you can see there's that same coat wire. So I can hook a wire to it, pull it through, tuck it all the way to the front. I'm going to do that right now, and I'll show you that to you. I thought I would show there's a few ways to tape wire, to get wire pulled through. I use a coat hanger, and I tape it to it with electrical tape, and then I pull it through. Seems to work effectively. You can see the tape job. Obviously, you want to tape the front at a taper so that it'll pull through easier. You can see this is the whole thing. I got a red wire as well that comes with this that goes through. So now I should be able to just pull this right through, and then I should be able to get the yellow wire. So I can push it as far as I want this way to clear all the metal like that. I should be able, pardon me as I walk around the car, but now where the coat hanger is, gently, this is not a race, should be able to work and pull through the wire, which I'll tuck them behind the seats. Now that we're at this point, remove the negative terminal to avoid any airbag problems or anything else. Thought I'd just show that I did that. So this is shown in videos all over the place. I'm not going to spend a lot of time, but this little clip comes out of that spot. By now you have your battery disconnected, hopefully. You have your emergency brake on so your car doesn't roll. Push the little white button, lets you move it down to the manual. This gives you room to remove the console, which, as has been shown a million times over, you basically pop this loose, pop, this pops. You disconnect these, will have plugs behind them. You pop all of this out. So I'm not going to show that because, shoot, I've seen it a million times in videos, this particular part. Some of this other stuff is what's not on YouTube. So, okay, now that I've pried this thing all apart, pretty much, I just have to take this out. Somebody online warned me that these buttons like to fall out, so I pre-taped over top of the heated seat buttons. So I'll just take all this apart, and then there should be 4 screws. I'll come back when I'm at to that point. Actually, I'm back for a second to show you how you pop off this panel. It's written about on the internet, but I haven't seen anybody do it actually in a video. But just pull off the panel. When you do, you only are really doing this so you have the ability to pry on this and pull it out. So that's how you do that. I just used a simple tool to do it. Well, I'm back and I've done some wiring. So you can see I have here grounded to this chassis ground that goes to the camera. And here's the actual yellow lead, but the courtesy wire right here, I posi tapped that and taped it. Here's the posi tap and the tape. so that this red line will run from the camera all the way to the front to a lead off the head unit on this particular Boss unit. You can just see a few other wires I'm going to tuck in eventually. I do have I have cable tied a little bit, cable tied there as well. Then the wire goes right there, goes down and out. And it goes right there. I kind of left it showing so you could see it on the video. And then you can see I took off the panel. It comes right through there. You might wonder what the green wire is. The green wire I added because I'm going to run that back to the reverse lamps. This Boss unit needs a signal like most, so to say that it's in reverse. So to take this off, this panel, there's a 10, this thing, there's 10 gauge, or sorry, 10 millimeter there, and there's actually a screw that was originally here. That's behind a little panel, behind this little panel right here that's popped open down here. Sorry, we're out. Next, I remove the radio. So those are out. That was a bear. Even pulling out the emergency thing, I had to yank hard on it. And you gotta be careful with these dashes because they get soft and they eat. Solara, so it's gonna leave a little mark. But and then you can see I took out this part. There's the 4 screws. You see them? 1, 2, and here's 3 and 4. And this whole unit will come out. And then I'll have to take off the HVAC connections. Here's what it looks like with the radio fully taken out. This particular radio had 2 plugs. This is an extra one for add-ons, and then obviously the air conditioning control, which you can see. There's air conditioning control and then 2 additional plugs. So look at the harness and the connections we have. Let's take a look. So I've got this from the Crutchfield pre-done harness. It obviously goes there. I have this one from the steering wheel controls. It's obviously going to go there. All the rest of them, I think, are into the harness itself. So for example, this guy, this will go into the steering wheel control module. I'll show all this when I get done. So I'm starting to put trims together and noticing more differences. So the one I rejected due to color, I still reject. But these little dots that I thought were a problem and this little raise up actually are in the original radio. And actually these notches are important because the air conditioning has these little tabs. Those little dots go in here and that goes in there, but those don't really hold it together. But these tabs definitely get in the way of the Metra. So what I did is, somebody said they cut them off. I don't want to do that because I want to keep them as much as solid as possible. So I actually drilled with my drill press holes. And now those little spots fit right in. And all in all, this looks better color-wise than the other one. So I know this looks like no progress and quite the mess, but we've actually come really far since our last video. So basically, I have it now to where it's configured where the Boss will sit and then these brackets, but I had to do extensive modifications on the Metra. I don't know what other people have done. I don't understand how they've done it without extensive modifications, but I had to actually go in and re-drill slightly the hole for the air conditioner vent. I had to do these, make them into slots so I could slide it back and forth. These little guys. And then I used the regular battery, the radio holes. I thought I had to drill new ones here, but then it got really ugly, folks, when I tried to put this thing in, and this needed extensive rework. So what I did is I used my bandsaw and I cut off the edge of the trim piece, literally on both sides. I just cut it off, and it fits perfect now. So you can see where I cut it right down. There used to be another thick part of that, and the same thing here. I chopped this sucker down too. These work great now, but and it's a really nice tight fit, and I'll show you the end result. But what I wanted to show too is I'm using a DIYBypass so that I can sync a new phone and things while I'm driving. So I bought it on eBay, but it's DIYBypass. You can see it. I'm currently in the middle of wiring it. I got the braking light, and now I just got to hook to the blue white. I got to hook the relay, and then the black I got to go to ground. So once that's all done, all I have left to do is install a cigarette lighter adapter down in the console, and this thing will all be back together. Okay, folks, we're dangerously close to done. Got the radio in. Looks pretty good. One little spot there that is a little raised, but I mean, we're talking less than a millimeter. And then everything looks good. The reason why this isn't in is because I have to get to my local big box. They have a USB connector that I'll put a hole down in there, and there'll be a power port, and then there'll be an actual USB that this will connect to. I've tested the CarPlay with lightning cable. It works fine. And then this obviously can't go in fully until I've got that part in. I'll show you that part in a minute when it's all done. Okay, this is the final video. Everything's together. I've put this module back in, and you can see I've added this plug. Got this at a box store. And you can see where I just drilled a 3/4 inch hole, and then it popped in, and the USB from the back of the radio, the Boss radio, is on the back of this, and then this is just the lightning cable that I've added. But so if you want to just have it charge, you can plug it in here, and this is just something I bought. But this in particular is where you can do wired, with this Boss radio, wired CarPlay is the only option. So this is what it looks like all together. That's it installed. I think it looks pretty good. Sorry for my camera work. I'm trying to do work and try to take pictures. So, yep, I'll put some links in the comments, and hopefully this will help somebody with doing a Solara radio.